2024 year ahead overview. So let's break things down. First of all, we're going to focus on what, if we are talking from the perspective of 2024, would be the first quarter, January, February, all the way up to the Aries equinox in March. That would be the first quarter of 2024, but technically it's the fourth quarter of this astrological year that again begins in March and ends in March. So we're kind of in the fallout, the dark season, the dark night of the soul, so to speak, from Capricorn season to Aries season. It's an introverted time. It's a reflective time. It's a time of visualization, planning, and strategy. So this is why the energy is low. This is why we don't set New Year's resolutions, because you don't bring anything to life in a period of death and decay. And that's exactly what we're doing in the collective's energy right now as we build towards, again, the actual new year that pops off in Aries season with that equinox energy when we get to actually kick off the new astrological year. Okay, so if I'm not really going to spend time, disclaimer, on the smaller transits, if you will. Now, if you want to go ahead, go to my website, download the 2024 complete astrological calendar, you will have in front of you a perfect guide of all of the inner planets, all of the outer planets, the planetary ingresses, when the energy shifts, the lunar cycles, the asteroid cycles, the whole kit and caboodle. It's a very valuable resource. I definitely recommend that you go over, you download it. There's some fractal mandala art to accompany the energy of that month that we will be dealing with, but I am not going to spend this particular forecast talking about the, I'm going to call them repetitive transits that we can expect in each zodiac season. What I am going to concentrate on is the highs and lows of the energy in which we're in. And so I've already kind of discussed how we kick January off with Mercury going direct. That kind of brings us into the year, and it kind of shows us where it is that our mental plane needs to be in order to accomplish what it is that we want to accomplish. Now, January 15th, we're going to have Saturn semi-squaring the true node, which is definitely going to restrict us, pump the brakes, so to speak, on the energy, on the action that we're able to actually exert out in the exterior realm. This is not a time for action out in the outer realm. This is the inner realm exploration and discovery that we really have to kind of get focused on with a new visual for what it is that we're planning towards. But Saturn, who is the Lord of Karma and the true node that is trying to get us on the right path, this is pumping the brakes so that we don't take action. Why do we not want to take action? Well, first of all, we're not into season 2, but secondly, the 20th is the major day. That's when the Sun and Pluto are going to walk hand in hand in Aquarius energy. It is a great thing that Pluto is entering into the Aquarius energy. But again, like I've already previously mentioned, it's not a surprise. We've already done it. We've already dipped our toe in this water. We know what to expect with Pluto moving into Aquarius energy. The kicker here is that the Sun, our life force energy, is recharging and renewing Pluto, the god of the underworld, in order for him to be at his prime for his final chapter. If we were watching a movie, if we were watching a play, Pluto is getting juiced up on steroids because he knows that he has to wrap up this particular movie, this particular play this year. And that is the most amazing thing. This is when we are moving into Aquarius season, when Pluto's going to be in Aquarius, when we are kind of being freed and liberated from the funk that many of us sit in through Capricorn season. This is where we get to get downloads of epiphanies, of aha moments, when we get to improve on the plans, the structures that we've already been trying to kind of initiate and bring to life. It's a big deal. And then on the 23rd, Uranus, the Great Awakener, is going to semi-sextile, which is a beautiful interaction with the true node, which means that there is a fast forward button that the universe is playing in order for us to make a very quick, calculated risk type of move in order to progress ourselves in the path, in the direction that we're currently being blocked from taking as of this particular point in time. And as I've already kind of previously covered, on the 27th of January, Uranus is going to go direct. And when Uranus goes direct, we are going to have a shock to the system. We are going to have sudden shakeups, sudden wake-ups, especially on the greater, grander global stage. And this is when we are going to be more independent, more apt to take a calculated risk, more kind of, I'm going to say, encouraged to bust out of our comfort zone to see what is possible for us if we were just to get out of our own damn way. And that is when things are going to get shaken, going to get rolling. It carries us into February. February, of course, is a very low type of month for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're still in this technical last quarter of endings, of closures, wrapping up the astrological calendar. But February is a time that, yes, we are working with the higher realms of intellect to really start planning and strategizing and thinking outside of the box. But early on in February, on the 6th, we're going to have Saturn and Uranus come together in an aspect. So here we have the great awakener, Uranus, and Saturn, who is a little bit of a tough ass, if we're being honest, giving us an opportunity to see where we can take some calculated risks, some calculated moves. Saturn wants to make us low and slow so that we're taking our time, really learning from our previous tough love life lessons on how to do things in the proper way so that we're building a strong structure, especially in Pisces energy where our belief system is concerned. And Uranus, of course, is trying to throw curveballs at us to wake us up, to shake us up. I would say the beginning of February is going to be some wackadoodle distractions on the greater, grander stage, as if January with the whole Alien Miami, Project Bluebeam wasn't a kicker. The Epstein list wasn't a kicker. Gypsy Rose wasn't a kicker. Those are all distractions, keeping us away from the spiritual course of enlightenment that's very strong in these particular months, keeping us distracted with all of this bull cucka. So we're definitely going to be entering into February with an extra layer of bull cucka thrown at us, thrown upon us. But in our own individual lives, we're able to take a much calculated risk in a brand new path, in a brand new direction, kind of setting the tone, if you will, on this brand new foundation and structure that we're going to be building upon. We enter into Pisces energy in February. So this is why February is kind of painful and semi-depressive. Pisces energy is the ending, the closure, the death needed in order for us to cleanse our soul, cleanse our spirit, to undo all of the things that we've done that aren't going to support us in the next chapter. And it's very deep, it's very spiritual, and doesn't feel good. And to kind of add on that, on the 19th, we are going to see the true node conjunct Chiron, which is, yes, a great spontaneous amount of healing, especially where this new identity is concerned, where this new version of self is concerned, where we are taking a step forward in this new identity, anchoring in this new version of self, really tapping into new boldness, new bravery, new courage that we haven't had. But for many of us, again, if you haven't done the work, this is going to feel like all of the wounds that you work so hard to heal suddenly get ripped wide open again. Again, we have to feel it in order to heal it. And we have some major healing points coming at us in 2024 to kind of close the door on this particular chapter of our lives, again, freeing us up in 2025 to start fresh. So we do have to address the wounds that maybe are gunshot wounds that we tried to put a Band-Aid on that just aren't healing correctly and properly. Maybe there's going to be a major focus on that. The interesting thing is, though, at the end of February, the 22nd, we're going to have Mars, the divine masculine, and Venus, the divine feminine, conjunct each other, team up, both in Aquarius energy. Okay, so this is super interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, Mars and Venus, they spend eternity chasing each other throughout the cosmos. They're the lovers of the zodiac, if you will. We all have masculine and feminine energies within us, and then depending on our levels that we have within us, that is the basis for every relationship dynamic that we have outside of us. To have Mars in Aquarius energy and Venus in Aquarius energy separately means that for Venus, we're improving and we're progressing on our heart space, on our new values, on our new goals, on creating a realm and a reality that not only looks good, but that feels good, creating happiness and joy, integrating that into more of our day-to-day lives than ever before. Mars in this Aquarius energy, the god of war, of course, is taking actions on thinking outside of the box, spontaneous ideas coming at us, huge influx in bursts of energy, really pushing us to improve and progress upon the path, the plan, the strategy that Mars and Capricorn, of course, initiated for us. And so to have these two come together for a lover's kiss, if you will, in the cosmos, it's for a very brief moment, but it is a reset of the masculine and feminine energies, not only within us, not only within our relationship dynamics, but on the collective stage as well. And this is going to, and especially in Aquarius energy, just blow the minds right off of us to see the relationship dynamics from a different set of eyes. We are less emotional in this Aquarian energy. We're acting as the observer, if you will, and we just want to continuously improve our situations and really push ourselves, again, with a balanced masculine and feminine energy, into this new creator role. So that is going to be a very powerful jam for us to all experience at the end of February. So this moves us into March. And March is definitely going to be intense for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're nearing the end of the old astrological calendar. We're nearing the end of the quote unquote first quarter of 2024. The closer that we get to the 19th of March, the more intense it's going to be, because of course that death, that dark night of the soul, that ending, that closure is going to be so in our faces in order for that new beginning, that resurrection energy, that rebirth energy to really take hold when Aries season kicks off the equinox energy that of course is the new astrological calendar and brings us to life. Now, of course, we have a lot of energies building, just as we have a lot of energies dissipating. But March 3rd, we're actually going to see Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, semi-square, creating tension and conflict with Neptune, who, of course, is in his place of power in this Pisces energy. So what this is going to get us a bigger picture vision on what it is that we want to build, what we want to create, the opportunities that we want to bring to life. But the vision is based off of delusion. That's Neptune and Pisces. We're too dreamy. We're too imaginative. We are conjuring up a vision and a dream that is not based on reality at all. We are likely going to get a reality check, so to speak, that is definitely going to burst our bubbles, definitely going to deflate the path, the plan, the strategy that we were building upon. Again, just keep in mind that March, as we approach that 19th, is going to get very intense. We're going to sit in that funk for the beginning of March. And then on the 19th, that is when we actually kick off the new year. And that is when we move into Aries season. That is when the equinox takes place, where all energies are balanced. We enter a new karmic chapter with that Aries energy. And shortly thereafter, we have Jupiter semi-sextiling with the true node. What does this mean? It means that there's a huge amount of growth, progress, progression, if you will, in the right path, in our soul's path, in the right direction, where we are building towards new goals, new visions, new opportunities. But let me just say this to you. The 25th is when we enter into eclipse season again. And what do we know about eclipse season? Well, we're not in control. Eclipse season is when the universe kind of steps in and puts us on the path that we failed to put ourselves on. And this is going to be a full moon lunar eclipse. So a full moon lunar eclipse tends to remove something out of our lives. And it's taking place in Libran energy because, of course, the north node, the south node on this Aries and Libran axis. And so there is likely going to be a lot of damage, a lot of destruction to existing relationships if they are not spiritually aligned, if they are not supporting us, if they are not pushing or encouraging us to know thyself. Again, North Node in Aries wants us to get on the right path, to be self-centered, centered in self. That's not rude, that's not ignorant, that's not inconsiderate. It's understanding that we have to operate at our highest point of authenticity. If we want to see the changes in the world that we want to see, we have to do it right within ourselves. So, Libra energy is about relationships, it's about fairness, it's about justice. We can interpret that on the greater, grander scale, if you will, with a lot of, let's call them lawsuits, legalities around a lot of the information coming out at this time. But in our individual lives, it's definitely going to upset some of the relationship dynamics that we've outgrown, that we should not be taking with us in this brand new year. Okay, so from the Aries season equinox to the Cancer season solstice that takes place in June. This is technically the second quarter of 2024, if we're looking at it that way, or the first quarter, if you will, of this new astrological year. Now, April is always a very busy time for a lot of reasons, mostly because we're in a brand new calendar, we're in a brand new karmic chapter. We got a lot going on. We're coming into April under the eclipse energy, so we're not in control. Everything's kind of coming at us. It's a little bit cray-cray. What happens on the first day of April? Mercury goes retrograde in that Aries energy, like we kind of discussed. What happens 7 days later? There's a new moon solar eclipse taking place in Aries energy. So this is going to kind of, close the door on this particular karmic chapter that we are learning on the Libra and Aries axis. A new moon solar eclipse, typically speaking, adds something to our lives, doesn't really appear as a gift at first, kind of looks like a form of punishment or a form of backtracking or a disruption, of course. But later, probably, about a month to 6 months later, we're going to look back on that and be like, wow, that was great. We really needed that. The new moon is a fresh, clean start. It is the new moon of this new astrological calendar. Yes, it's an eclipse energy. No, we're not in control, but yes, we're going to end up exactly where it is that we need to be, that we technically failed to put ourselves on the path of, that the universe is going to help sort us out with. The 10th, we have Jupiter semi-sextiling Chiron. This is a huge amount of growth and healing, especially where this new identity is concerned. We're making leaps and bounds with our healing abilities, with our creator energies. And then on the 19th, we move into Taurus season, which helps us stabilize the energy. Whatever it is that we were thinking about, whatever it is that we were inspired or motivated to bring to life, Taurus energy helps us bring it into form. But the interesting part is that on the 19th, when the sun moves into Taurus energy, we also have Saturn semi-sextiling the true node. That means that there is a karmic growth pattern, a karmic step forward, a step in the right direction that is supported by the cosmos, by the universe. So of course we will be out of eclipse season by then, back into control. And the very first move that we make in this controlled space is definitely on the right path with this new mission, with this new potential that we have within ourselves, really bringing forth a new realm, a new creator energy that we get to work with to manifest the realm, the reality that our higher selves want us to be living in. The 20th, we're going to have Jupiter conjunct Uranus. My goodness, mark that on your calendar. We have the planet of growth and the planet of unexpected events coming together, okay, in this Taurus energy that rules over the materialistic physical form. Jupiter has been, since May of 2023, in this Taurus energy, giving us a very low, slow approach to what it is that we want to build, what it is that we want to create in our lives. Uranus, again, throws us a curveball, wild card events, if you will. Uranus kind of pushes us out of our comfort zone, whether we want to or not, and awakens us to new ways of doing things, a new perspective that we should be growing towards. So we really need to understand that towards the end of April, we are really going to see the universe press fast forward button, and we're going to have a lot of wild card events that initially probably we're going to resist, because again, Taurus energy, a fixed earth sign, we don't really like change, even though we've been praying for it. But we're more apt now that Uranus is direct to push ourselves out of the comfort zone and to see what happens with this calculated risk. And this unexpected event is going to fast forward us on the path, in the plan, to create new opportunities for growth, for expansion, for abundance, especially where our physical realm is concerned. So that is a high potent energy. And I would say, not that I'm a betting girl, but I would say that the solar flares, the CMEs popping off, are going to be huge around that particular day and may actually impact our communications, if you will, just due to the fluctuations of vibrations, frequencies, and energies coming in from the cosmos. The 25th of April, we're going to see Mercury go direct in that Aries energy. So again, there is new ideas, new inspirations, new motivations that we are going to be taking charge, taking action upon, really, really progressing us very, very efficiently, very accelerated, like on this new path, on towards these new visions, these new goals, these new dreams. The 29th is interesting because Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, she moves into Taurus energy, which is her rulership. Now that happens every year. So you're probably saying, why do we care about that? Well, because on the 30th, we have Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires, moving into his rulership in Aries energy. Okay, so let's backtrack for a second. February, right? February 22nd, Mars and Venus, the feminine and masculine divine energies came together for a lover's kiss under the progressive and innovative energy of Aquarius. Okay, so then in April, at the end of April, we see Venus and Mars. They're separated now, but they're on their own quest. They're on their own adventure, and they're both in their power placements. Venus in Taurus energy is grounded. She's logical, she's practical, she's pouring into herself. She's nurturing herself back to a place of safety, security, happiness, joy, and stability. Mars in Aries energy, this is the warrior type of spirit. We're going to get shit done. We may make a mess. We may be like a tornado just rolling through, creating a mess while we try to achieve one thing. But you best believe we are going to have an aggressive, straightforward, action-packed, filled plan that we need to execute. And having the masculine and feminine energies, both in their rulerships, mean that we're operating in a balanced place of empowerment if we're able to keep those particular energy balanced within ourselves. And again, if you've been doing the work, no problem. If you haven't been doing the work, put your helmet on. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Okay, so this carries us into May. May is always a very busy time because we have a timeline jump that takes place pretty much mid-May. Now, what does that mean? It means that as we approach a choice point, a decision point for the collective timelines, it's not that they're separating, it's not that they're merging, it's that we come to a fork in the road, if you will. And collectively speaking, we are going to see major shit show distractions take place on the global stage in order to distract us and keep us in a fear-based narrative so that we choose the path that is of the lower vibration, the lower timeline. We have to do better, okay? We're in the final chapter of this particular educational series, if you will. We have to override the distractions so that we have the ability to manifest. Now, you've probably heard me say in previous sessions that April and May is going to be the test on whether or not humanity has got their shit together enough to kind of override these old timelines for good. And as of right now, April into May is up in the air. What we do, what happens, what we focus on through that eclipse season that carries us into May is going to be the make or break on what kind of new earth we will be building in 2025. And let me just say, as I stand here in January, kind of making my predictions, I think we are going to have another failure to launch. I hope I'm wrong about this, but from where I'm at, there are key situations, key circumstances that need to happen in order to validate and confirm for me what timeline the collective is actually going to be locking in around these particular dates. And as I currently foresee it here in January, we are going to be choosing the lower timeline. Why do I say that? Because shit is going to hit the fan as far as the media is concerned, as far as these fake narratives are concerned, as far as the distractions are concerned. And I think that the majority of the collective is going to fall victim to it once again. We are going to be in a fear-based situation and circumstance around that particular time, and therefore not pick the higher path planned for us at this particular time. I hope to be wrong. I hope we can all set out to prove me wrong, because I am hoping that we get our shit together and that we are able to choose the highest timeline available to us when offered to us in May. Okay, so May 2nd, Pluto is going to retrograde. We only get about 2 degrees into that Aquarius energy before we kind of turn back. And a lot from January up until May will have happened to that particular point where we kind of gain the bigger, broader picture of what's going on here. And then we got to go back and retrace our steps and do a couple of things over. And that's why when we actually creep back into the Capricorn energy that will take place here in the months to come, following May, we are going to know what we need to go back and destroy and totally debilitate in order for that particular element of the societal structures to actually collapse for good. The Aquarian energy provides us with the big picture, the bigger observer type of mentality. And then when we retrograde and creep back into that Capricorn energy, then we can execute the path and the plan needed in order to totally obliterate and destroy the foundational structures that are holding us back from reaching these new experiences, these new timelines. On the 6th of May, Saturn is going to semi-square Pluto. That's going to be a major deal. I would say that this is when shit is going to hit the fan on the greater, grander global stage. We're likely going to feel that collective energy manifest in our personal lives as well. But here we have Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who's trying to build in truth, in authenticity, in a new belief system, need to totally collapse, destroy the delusion around religion, around spirituality, around a lot of the lies, the corruption that, of course, we've been told. And Pluto, who is the, great transformer himself through damage and destruction in order for a rebirth, a resurrection to actually take place, he's retrograde now, which means that we need to look back in order to figure out where it is that we need to go from here. We need to understand the falsities that we've been kind of conditioned under in order to understand what it is that we have to totally obliterate and destroy before we can move on and move forward. Now, on the 23rd of May, we're going to have a full moon in Sagittarius. Now, that may not seem wackadoodle because that's pretty standard. But what we also have going on that same day, get ready for this. Again, please download the 2024 calendar so that you have this in your peripheral coming into the month. We have a full moon in Sagittarius, which is a full illumination, a full awareness of a, let's call it, path, direction, truth that had been previously hidden away from us, plus Venus moving into Gemini energy. Well, let me take you back to 2020. Not only when Venus was in Gemini energy, but when she retrograded in Gemini energy. You want to talk about misinformation that didn't align with the truth, with our values, with what it is that we wanted, what we needed, what we desired. You want to talk about communication, especially where relationship dynamics, where values are concerned, reaching an all-time high. Not only as if that wasn't enough, we have Jupiter sextiling Neptune, which is a beautiful interaction. It's a helpful, growing type of period. But Jupiter is looking to push us into a new growth, a new expansion. And we have Neptune in this Pisces energy, which is about our intuition, our spirituality, our belief system. There's a huge level of healing here. There's a huge glow up that's going to take place, but it's going to take place through damaging information and details that come out under that full moon in Sag that totally rock our heart space, that put us in a situation to have some very deep heart-to-heart conversations about the truth, about what matters to us. And then we're going to have an opportunity to grow and heal from that particular aspect under that sextile between Jupiter and Neptune. Only a day after, Jupiter is going to semi-square the true node. So this is like, hold up, no, we can't make any moves. We can't act on impulse. Even though we want to, even though we may be raging, even though we may be inspired to do something, we can't do it right now because we're going to create a mess for ourselves. And then what happens? On the 25th, Jupiter moves into Gemini energy. All of these previous interactions are at the critical 29th degree of the Taurus energy. And that is going to be a major deal. That is going to be very intense. It's going to feel like we don't know who it is that we are in our own skin, in our own reality. Everything is going to be questionable. And then Jupiter moves into that Gemini energy and the information just starts pouring in that just conflicts us, that is counterproductive to our goals, to our visions, to our dreams. It's going to put us in a very confrontational situation because we all want to be right. And that's going to be a little bit of a problem. Now, if we're mature enough, again, Saturn over there in Pisces energy, to discuss Gemini energy, our belief system, Jupiter, and the Pisces energy that Saturn is in, we're actually going to achieve a lot as far as humanity is concerned. But if we're all still acting from ego, you best believe that this is just going to be the fuel to the already existing fire, burning the structures of the dark force energy down to the ground that our egoic programming is still very much based off of and feeding off of. Now, the 28th of May, and this is why I say we're at a very pressurized system in May, the 28th, we're going to have Jupiter fresh in this Gemini energy, make a very positive interaction with Saturn in the Pisces energy. So this is mutable energy. What is mutable energy, you may ask? It is time to shift, time to change, time to go with the flow, time to be flexible and adaptable enough to basically turn on a dime, because we are going to get information and details thrown at us around each and every single quarter, if you will, and it is just going to majorly change the game. So as long as we're mature, Saturn, and we take the life lessons that we've learned through the karmic chapters that have basically put us in a particular belief system, Jupiter and that Pisces energy, we're going to be able to really make a big difference, make a major change, not only within ourselves, but on the greater, grander stage as well. If we're not, again, this is where conflict is definitely going to ensue. Okay, so we're moving into June. June 2nd, Jupiter is going to trine Pluto. Pluto's retrograde in Aquarius energy. Jupiter is in Gemini energy. This is air on air action. This is intellect, information. This is, planning, strategizing, progressing in big ways. Jupiter is offering us an opportunity of growth. Pluto is offering us a major change, major transformation, not only in the path and the plan in which we are currently walking, but in the information, the data, the statistics that are coming out that's going to help us grow, help us heal if we're in that particular mind space to do so. Now on the 3rd, just notable mention, we're going to have Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, and how it is that we express ourselves, move into his place of power in this Gemini energy. You want to talk about a chatty Cathy, you want to talk about gossip, you want to talk about misinformation, especially with Jupiter turning the volume all the way up in this Gemini energy. Prepare yourselves for your minds to be blown, both in good ways and in bad ways. We're really going to have to learn discernment if you haven't learned it already. This is why it is absolutely pivotal that we are integrating the higher self with the egoic self here in 2024. We need to be operating from a whole state of power, a whole state of awareness, because some of the things that are going to be thrown at us is just going to rock the normal state of mind. On the 17th, we're going to have Venus and Mercury move into Cancer energy, which is definitely not the most favorable place for either of these placements to be in. First of all, Venus and Cancer, we're very nostalgic. We're very attached to the past. We're romanticizing the past. We are having a change of heart. We're kind of stepping back on what it is that we thought we were going to do. We're questioning the boundaries that we've built, that we've created. We understand where we have to nurture ourselves back to a place of health, of wellness, of stability. But Mercury in Cancer, again, very nostalgic, very defensive, very protective of ourselves, of the people that we love. Venus is the heart space. Mercury is the head space. So there's an alignment there. And in Cancer energy, that's intuition, but it is also where it is that we would rather put the rose-colored glasses on and romanticize our lives instead of dealing with it for what it is. Now, as we approach the 20th of June, be prepared for intensities, especially around this particular 17th point when we have the heart and the head move into Cancer, because on the 20th, that is when the sun moves into Cancer and we have our solstice, and that solstice energy again resets, rebalances the karmic scales, so to speak. We enter into a new karmic chapter. We have successfully put the first part of the new astrological calendar behind us at this particular point in time. Now, not that it is abnormal to have the full moon in Capricorn take place here in this Cancer season, because that's what happens every year, but it's taking place at a very critical degree. And a full moon is a full reflection, a full awareness on what it is that we have to let go of, what it is that we have to surrender, what it is that we have to break down, what it is that we have to destroy. In the Capricorn energy, we're teaming up with Pluto, as we've kind of been sitting at these last degrees of this Capricorn energy for at least the last 4 years. And we're understanding now where it is that the societal structures are collapsing and where the power struggles in our own individual lives need to come to an end, to free us up, to start building a more solid foundation that's going to support us moving into the future than constantly exerting our energy to hold on to the elements that we've already built, we've already created. The 29th of June, Saturn is going to go retrograde. That is right. we are getting another harsh reality check. When Saturn goes retrograde, especially in the Pisces energy, we are reflecting within ourselves on where it is that our false belief system is creating a expectation and therefore a disappointment of the outcomes in which we are currently creating. There is a new willpower, a new discipline that we discover while Saturn is retrograde. But again, he's going to be retrograde for a couple of months. We're just dipping our toe into this harsh reality check that we all need in order to get focused on what is important, what is outdated, what it is that we have to restructure, rebuild, reorganize within ourselves.